Well, hello friends and neighbors. We are saying goodbye to 2017 today, and I thought, as many in the community have done, I should share with you some of my favorites from 2017. So after the break, I'll give you the top picks in various categories of whiskey that I've had the privilege of having this year in 2017. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining me. I'm actually shooting this in 2017. It is New Year's Eve, but early on in the day. And I just slipping under the wire and thought I would share some of my top picks for whiskey in various categories. It's my first, I started the channel this year, so it's my first year sharing my best picks. And this will probably change by next year, but I thought the ground rules would be to share with you. It has to be something that I've had a bottle of, or I have a bottle of. It's not just something I've tried, and it's something that I've spent a bit of time with, so that I can give a pretty honest opinion that this is something that I enjoyed. So here it goes. In the category, I've got them down here. I'll go with Irish first. So my top Irish whiskey this year that I have a bottle of, or have had a bottle of, is probably no surprise to many of you who follow or have had good Irish whiskey. It's RedBreast 12-year Caskstrength. This is triple distilled, non-chill filtered, not colored, bottled at 57.4% ABV. And I was able to get this at an absolute steal, so that probably made it a little bit more interesting to me. But it is excellent stuff. The the tastes are vibrant, sweet but not overpowering. This is really well put together, and with that characteristic Irish, nice, smooth on the palate, clean on the finish. RedBreast 12 Caskstrength, I would heartily recommend. So then, the next category, maybe I'll do Scotch. Was pretty tough for me. Yeah, really tough. So I decided I went to go with a bottle that I rediscovered this year, and just got a ton of character. I just feel bad picking it because you're not likely being able to find it. This is a Wilson & Morgan barrel pick of Caol Ila Distillery. This is aged for 12 years, but it was picked by Wilson & Morgan to celebrate their 20th anniversary, not the distillers, but the bottlers. And it was bottled, as I said, sorry, I was trying to show you just the color. It's not colored, non-chill filtered, it's 48.5%. And it's just a 12-year-old Scotch, but I really like peated or smoky whiskey, and perhaps it's the way this changed in the bottle a little bit, but just almost couldn't get enough of this when I rediscovered it after I cleaned up my whiskey area. It's so smoky. It's crazy smoky. You pour a dram of this, sit down in a room, and someone across the room will go, "Oh, what are you having?" Because the smoke is great, but it's not. I do like peated scotches. Some of them that are even have a little more of that gasoline in them, a little bit of that, what Lafroy, I guess someone described it as Band-Aids and something else. I'm like, yeah, but I like that. But this doesn't have any of that. This is actually peated, but not crazy. And really what's amazing is the smoke. So you really get a lot of that smoke in the nose or whatnot, but it's quite sweet, like cereal sweet, honey sweet, not too much fruity. Anyways, But I thought, since that's definitely, I don't know if I'm pushing the bottles off the edge here or not, but anyways, since you probably won't be able to get this bottle since it's a very unique bottling. I thought I would do an honorable mention in Scotch, and it's wildly, wildly different. I discovered GlenDronach for the first time this year. I've never had any GlenDronach, but this is just their 12-year-old in Pedro Jimenez and Oloroso sherry. But this has spent its 12 years in sherry, and I really like it. And so this gets an honorable mention. I can't really have a winner, but an honorable mention in the Scotch category. Wildly different than this. It's still fresh for me, but I like it. I'm going to hide it behind because it's just honorable. Then moving over to bourbon. A fairly simple pick here. And now I'll be fair. I haven't had E.H. Taylor. I haven't had any of the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection. I haven't had any Pappy, that kind of thing. So perhaps my field of play is restrained, but I really like this bourbon. This is Knob Creek Single Barrel. So it's released at 60% ABV. And it's just aged 9 years, and it's not a store bottling. I think you see a lot of special store bottlings for Knob Creek, but this was just their single barrel, and I can't think of anybody that I've poured this for that hasn't actually quite loved it. It is quite sweet. It's sweeter than many bourbons. But it works. I don't know if it's balanced by the strength of the alcohol, which doesn't seem to overpower, but it picks up in the mouthfeel. And as I said, I have yet to pour this for someone and for them not to, if not, that's the favorite of their night. Actually, I think it's always been the favorite of the night when I pour it. So good on you guys, and very, very affordable. So it was a wonderful Canadian whiskey year this year. There really were so many, and I just released an opening of the Canadian Club 40-year-old that my wife gave me for Christmas, and that's a phenomenal whiskey. I just haven't spent enough time for it that I thought I would put it in the 2018 realm of consideration rather than this year, because I really just opened it. I've had just that one pour. It's phenomenal. But one that I've had several pours of is Union 52, J.P. Weiser. This bottle has a great story. Harriman Walker found some 52-year-old Scotch in their storehouse that they probably used to put out blends before. They just had a little bit left, so they put about 5% of that in with their 16, is what I hear, about their 16-year-old whiskey. So this one is not sweet like this, but it has the sweetness of corn. It has mouthfeel of some barley and some rye bite and interest. So it's got a nice base in the whiskey, but then they blended about 5% of that 52-year-old Scotch, and whether that's it or the casking or the process, but it adds a subtleness to this. It brings the sweetness in check, adds just a hint of smoke, even though it's a Highland Scotch. So it's not like they added a peaty Scotch or anything like that. But I feel like it adds a little more wood characteristic to it, a little more casking in it. And if I could buy a bottle of this, I would. Again and again. But I can't. It was only released in BC, and this is all I have left. So Irish Scotch of the peaty, it's a special bottling. Then we've got a single barrel for bourbon, and a special one-time release for Canadian whiskey. Now, a lot of people would put this in a rye category because it does have rye in it. I'm going to say around 15%. But I like rye a lot, and so I thought I would have another category. It actually let me sneak two Canadians in the mix and say that this year's rye pick for me was the Lot 40 Cask Strength. Don't know what to say that I haven't said already. The fruit notes, dark plums, and the floral, the bouquet in the nose. You could smell this whiskey all night long, and then the finish brings out that balance in wood and oak. Really loved this cask strength whiskey. So as you can tell, it's been a really excellent year here in the neighborhood. And I have been very thankful to be able to share this with friends, have a sip every now and then in the evening. And actually, every pick, even though some of them are hard to get, like this one, good luck, or Union 52, I will say that everything on this table was under $80 Canadian. And that is probably the whiskeys that I'm going to be playing in for the foreseeable future, aside from exceptional gifts from loving people, but that really is kind of the realm that I play in, and so I feel like these represent solid picks and actually solid value. So if you haven't had any one of these, I would stand behind any one of them. If you like peated, if you don't like peated, then the honorable mention here. This is a very lovely sherry, completely aged in sherry Scotch. So I would go that way if you don't like peat or more smoke than peat. Hey, I'm John, a whiskey neighbor. Those are my picks for 2017. I hope you have tried them, and if not, I suggest you do. Have a wonderful New Year's Eve with friends and family, and please be responsible. Have a good night.